So in today's video, we're gonna create a preset for acoustic guitar using the Helix ecosystem. So let's start with the guitar. This is a O Mexican-made acoustic Martin, and this guitar sounds amazing by itself. The preamp is not that great, but I just love the way it feels and the way it sounds when I mic it. So I took an impulse response of this guitar, which is what I'm going to use for this specific guitar because it sounds amazing when recorded. So the entirely of this tone, it's based on an impulse response to make the piezo or the pickup that is in the guitar, which is right here under the bone in here. There's a piezo in there. And this is going to work with more affordable guitars. But if you have a good preamp, let's say LR Baggs Anthem or something that has a microphone, it might not work as well, but it could be a good addition to it. And I will recommend you to experiment. And right now we're just going to focus on this guitar, and I'll show you ways of where you can sound it, make it sound even better. So let's go into my computer now. What I have here is Reaper, and I'm using Helix Native, which is my favorite plugin to play live. I use this computer with a MIDI controller that has an interface called the Mega Commander or the Mega Commander MIDI controller. I also have the MIDI Commander, which is just a MIDI controller that I'm using with an external interface. So what I have here, it's a blank preset, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you something that is amazing with Helix Native, how I create presets for a lot of members of the church, and how I create presets for anyone who has any model of the Helix units, whether it's the effects, the stump, the XL, or the floor rack and LT. If you want to unlock the power of your computer with Helix, all you have to do is press this button that says off, and it would utilize the entire RAM and your CPU of your computer to any effect combination that you want, even 4 lanes of independent sound. So that's the advantages why I switched just to use Helix Native Live. Now I do have the HX effects, but I have owned the LT, I have owned the floor, the stump, and the stump XL. So I know my way around these units. But my favorite way to create presets is just use this for now, or use the Helix editor. All right, so first off, let's go with the simplest one of all of them, which is going to be the stump or the effects, but it's going to be better with the HX stump because I know a lot of people have it with their pedal boards. Now for acoustic guitar, this is amazing. And I'm going to use an IR of this specific Martin that I think it sounds amazing. And make sure you stay at the end of the video because I'll have a surprise for you guys. So what it's very important with this preset of work is that the first block, it has to be the IR. Unlike the guitars, you put either at the end or in between effects. This one, you need this IR to be specifically at the beginning of the signal chain. It doesn't matter what unit you're using. It goes at the beginning of the signal chain because it's what creates the emulation of that particular guitar be affected by the piezo. So I go my first block and I go to edit. I'm gonna pick my IR. Okay, so just the IR. And here I'm gonna choose my Martin 000. Something very important with acoustic guitar, especially that has a preamp, especially the more affordable ones. This guitar wasn't that expensive, but it's very high quality made. Is that the way you play affects a lot the way it sounds. So if you're a heavy pick player, the piezo is not gonna help you a lot. But if you use finger picking, it's a little bit better. So I kind of trained myself a little bit of playing with fingers or hybrid picking. The electric guitar I play almost the same way, but I attack a little bit more with pick. But I would recommend you to practice playing acoustic guitar with a little bit of a lighter pick, not like a very heavy pick, just so it's not so aggressive with piezo. This is what it sounds with a pick. Now, if I play it with my fingers, with my nails, see, it sounds different. Even when I strum, if I play something like this, see, the piezo sounds in a different way if I play with my fingers. It's not so trebly and it sounds different. So if you finger pick, that'll be ideal, but it's not for every song. So still that piezo comes, it just doesn't sound that great through the PA, but some people might like it. Okay, so now let's throw in the IR and you see the huge difference it makes. So first block, before you throw in anything, you put the IR. Now this is the IR. Now I'm gonna grab the pick. See, that piezo still makes a different kind of dynamic with the preamp. So if you feel that your guitar sounds in a certain way that you might not like, just change either your pickup, your technique. I usually strum with just fingers, no pick, and I mean, I wear out my nails, but I usually try to leave them a little bit longer, or you can use a very light pick. I use jazz pickups, and I have this one's called Toltecs. It's like this clear, and that one sometimes I like. It's very warm. So for the acoustic guitar, I use this specific pickup. My other one's also Jazz 3, but it's just your regular plastic. I don't like the way it sounds. It has a very specific... If I'm doing like something very fast, I would use it, but for most of the time, I will use this particular pick. It's thicker and it's more rounded, and it just gives a different tone. So we encourage you to experiment with picks. All right, so let's just use this pick. I like the way it sounds just because it gives me enough to play with. Now, it might not sound that great, and there's a few things we need to use here now. Most effective is going to be compression, reductive EQ, focus, or EQ to focus the tone, and then we're going to use reverb and some modulation. It's very simple, but it makes a difference. You have a few things you can use here, which is a low cut and high cut, but I like to use an EQ after the fact, after the compression. So my favorite compression for this, it's going to be in dynamics, and is the LA Studio compressor. The other one would be the Deluxe Comp, but I think the LA Studio would serve you a little bit better. So the peak reduction, we don't want to do too much, so let's do it at 6.5, and the gain, let's do it at maybe 5.5. Let's turn it off. It's got this nice bass response to it that I love. Now the mix is important. Let's just leave it around 25%, just like I do with electric guitar. Let's do 30. Just let's be a little bit more compressive with it. Let's use the pick. Another secret I have is when I use the picks, I use them in reverse. I don't use the front of the pick. I pick with the side of the pick, meaning I play with this side of the picks. So that makes it a little bit less harsh when I play. Sorry about that. Okay, I can't play today. So you can play with how much mix you want. The rest you can just leave it as is. The peak reduction, let's just lower it a little bit, around same 5.5. Let's just leave it there. Also, where you play on the hole makes a huge difference. I try to play right between the hole and this area. I try not to play around the hole. It just gets a little bit warmer. It's just practice whatever you think sounds best. That's what I recommend you, whether it's right at the hole, more in closer to the neck, or right by the bridge. It doesn't matter. Just you got to find your own tone. You realize how much more tone you get by just switching what you feel is best. Okay, so that is the compression. Now we're gonna use the same compression. I mean, the same EQ that we do with electric guitar, and it's gonna be low and high cut EQ and a low and high shelf EQ. Let's put them at the end of the signal chain. I'm gonna throw some effects in between there. So let's start with the low and high cut. I would cut right around, let's go generous, 80 hertz, and high cut, let's do around 12. Let's see what that sounds like. See, the tone already changed. Let's turn it off. See, you got that thumpy bass. And that's why I like to compress before that EQ. I don't like to do it before it. It's just the compressor would compress all those low frequencies differently, and I like what it's doing with the EQ after. Now, the last EQ, it's going to be just focus where you want that low end. And usually the only knob that I try to manipulate is just the low gain. So if I lower 4 dB, it sounds like this now. Still there's that kind of low end, and so the low and high cut kind of focuses the sound in a certain way, and the low and high shelf will like be brighter or bassier. So that's all it's doing. So if I want a little bit less and the low gain, just do around 7 dB. Your sound engineer could do that. I think that now if I have a very harsh pick, see if I change pick, now let's turn off the IR just to play with the preamp, and let's see how it sounds now with no IR. See, I hear that clickiness of the piezo, now the thinner pick. Yeah, no, I don't like that. So let's turn on the IR. You can also do a low cut at the beginning. We can do the same, but you just leave it there for now. If you don't have space for the EQ, or there's 2 EQs, make sure you let your sound engineer. I can EQ it for you. Maybe he only wants that low cut and high cut. So let's leave it there. I like what I was getting right now. Okay, so the other effects that I always like to throw in there. Let's start with a reverb, just a very simple reverb. My favorite go-to is the glitz, and I just leave it there. It's just that reverb. That is my go-to reverb. Now I'm gonna throw in some modulation, and let's go to modulation. And my go-to would be the harmonic tremolo or the 70s chorus. There's other ones that are really cool, like the deluxe phaser. That one's kind of cool. But this 70s chorus is like one of my favorites. The mix, it's around 20%. It doesn't do much. But let's do more headroom. I need to leave that headroom in there. And the level, let's just drop it about half of dB, around there. It doesn't sound like much. Let's just give it a little bit more, like around 30%, just so it cuts through. Okay, so that sounds very good right there. Let's use the pick now. So now I changed my picking a little bit more towards the center of the hole. And you can see now you create different dynamics within the acoustic guitar. And the IR helps you. And the dynamic, the compressor also helps you focus the tone. If I'm going to play something that the pastor's speaking, there's one reverb that I always use. And it's from the legacy of line 6. And it's called the particle verve. It's down here. And what it kind of creates, it's not like shimmer, it's kind of like a pad-ish on the background. And the mix is usually around 30%. Let's leave it there. And the swell, let's do 75% around there. I think that's plenty. Trails on. And now just listen to what it sounds with those two reverbs. I'm going to play something very slow. We can lower the dwell. Let's say 60. And now we're going to do the mix a little bit higher, around 35. And I'm playing just with my fingers. I'm not using the pick. 35 is a bit much, so maybe 30. And let's just do around 70%. I think that you just got to play with it. What sounds good to you. Instead of playing just with the rhythm, sometimes when the pastor's speaking, I used to just go. But if he's just talking something slow and he's talking to people, I try not to strum when he's talking. I try to just get open chords and just play something that... something like that, you know, not necessarily strumming, but that particle verve creates this paddish tone, and I think that makes a huge difference for different areas. Now, the way I would assign it on my HX stump is, first of all, I only have maybe 3 buttons that I can choose. But let's say I add a delay. I can add 3. But switch 1, I'll put the modulation. Oh, I'm sorry, I put the wrong one. So in one, I'll put switch 1 and my particle convert in switch 2. And if I had a delay in it, which I hardly ever use delay with my um, acoustic guitar, but if I had a delay, my favorite delay is the Andratic delay. This is my go-to, just for simple stuff. Quarter notes, there it is. I don't touch much. Maybe the feedback a little lower. My headroom goes all the way up, and I turn on my trails. And let's see. And I would, for now, I would change it to preset, and I'll create something for that tempo. So that's how I would treat this preset. Now I have all the blocks used, and this would be my ideal tone for to play acoustic guitar. And now let's go to controller assign, and now this one could be my switch number 3. If how do I get the tap tempo in there? So you just gotta see what you need. Maybe you have a external switcher. You can get a tab switcher into it and assign it to the tap tempo, and that'd be a great way to use it. So let's save this acoustic preset. So now let's transfer this to the HX XL. So now I go down here, preferences, open up hardware compatibility, and we change this to Stomp XL. Click OK, and now we're gonna create a preset for somebody who has the XL. So first thing to do is just save it to the library. Whatever you have available, just click on one of them and just hit OK. Now, if I'm HX XL, now I can either take off some of these blocks or add new ones. I can use dual delay. So let's say I don't need the low and high shelf. And I can add one more block. I get my reverb. And let's say I add another delay to get that galloping tone that I like. Let's just go with a simple delay, and we're gonna put it before this is quarter notes. Let's do dotted eighth here, which makes it sound better. Click this icon and change to dotted eighth. Feedback lower, makes a little lower now. And if I get both delays, it just creates this beautiful effect. And now this simple delay, you can assign it to something else. Let's say, which one's open? 4, it's in delay, it's on 3, so I can put it number 6. So both of the delays are on top of each other in the pedal board. And this is the easiest way to start creating presets for everyone in your worship team. From those who have the HX Stump, XL, if they have Helix Floor, Rack, whatever, and if you have Helix Native, it's just gonna read. Just gotta change the hardware compatibility, and you can keep creating. I'm gonna now change this. Let's save it again. Save to library, and this is gonna be not the ST anymore. It's gonna be the XL. Just make sure put XL, not HL. XL. It's just got that extra delay. And now let's change it to create a preset for the Helix floor, hardware compatibility, HX stump, LT, floor, or rack. And now we have a lot more to use. And this is where it gets interesting. You can have a stereo. You can now go down here and put some of these verbs down here. Your delays can stay up there. Make sure you change your routing from here in host. You go to edit, change it to 2A. That way the signal comes from up here and it continues down here. You can have two different guitars. If you click here, you put host, input, whatever, 2. You can change that. For this case, it has nothing. Just you can have your electric guitar and your acoustic guitar, or two different acoustic guitars with two different IRs. Or you can have two IRs parallel and just choose, for example, if I want to put here another IR, and let's say I have another IR and I'm going to put my hummingbird and I drag it down here, I can have two different acoustic guitars in the same patch, and now it's going to sound completely different. Let's turn this one off. Now, when you use multiple acoustic guitars, just like you use in dual cabinet, you create a better and more beautiful tone. If you need more RERs for acoustic guitars, you can visit my online store where you can buy some. There's some that are free that you can use to experiment. But this is where you can create maybe one wet, one dry, meaning the one signal chain has a very heavy reverb, the other one is dry. There's just maybe almost nothing. And that you create an even better tone for your acoustic guitar. Now here I can start adding more stuff. So I have two delays, reverb, modulation. Let's move this here. Let's put after the modulation, let's a tremolo. One of my favorite modulations, this harmonic trem. It's one that I liked. And let's go down and put the mix around half, 50%, and it would sound something like this now. And let's put the timing with the quarter note. And you can experiment a lot with just the simple tone of your acoustic guitar. You can put different effects left to right, and that opens so much more with your acoustic guitar than just the dry sound. I really like this capability with Helix. Once you understand it, it's very easy. So if I like this, I can just go and save it. And I put save to library, and I go to factory now. I got users. I can go here to my 1D, and this one I'm gonna name it HX floor, and put OK, save it, and there it is. That's pretty much. And now I can assign many things. Also another thing you can do, it's let's say I have the same guitar. Let's put the Martin with U87. What I would do a high cut around, let's say maybe around, what's the most I'll put it halfway. Let's do around here, half. And what I would do with the other one is I'll do a high cut right halfway there, and that way I get a better contrast of the two signals in parallel instead of compressing all of them so hard. Let me turn off everything, because this is something I tried before. And when I record, I would do that with the dry signal, the acoustic guitars. I would get some things more bass and isolate kind of the bass tones, and then isolate the top end of the guitar, and it would sound something like this. And if I turn one off, okay, so it cuts. So that sounds much better with both of them. So that's another thing you can do. Use the same IR, EQ differently, or focus differently, compress differently, and it will expand and make your tone very extensive, or with mix in there. I mean, there's so many possibilities. All you have to do is experiment. And I would encourage you to do that. Different picks, hand picking, hybrid picking, different strings, different plays where to play on the acoustic guitar. At least this is just what I've experienced through the time I've been trying to improve or think outside the box of my acoustic guitar tone. There is one more that I forgot to do, and it has to do with Helix effects, because since we're not using any amps, we can do this with the HX effects, which I'm going to change right now. I'll put OK, put yes. See, it didn't really change anything. And I'm gonna save it and also put it in the pack. Save to library. Let's HX. Let's put FX. Acoustic HX effects. Okay. All right, it's saved. I forgot to talk about the HX effects. You can do this acoustic preset. We're not using any amps on there. Okay. All right, friends, this is it for this video. And just like I promised at the end of this video surprise, all this block of presets that are free to download with this particular IR. You can just go into my online store and download it free. If you need different kind of IRs, there's a couple other that are also free in there. And if you help the channel buying some of the IR for guitar and bass, electric guitar and bass, that will help a lot this channel. And if you want to donate, I'll give you the information separately so you can help the channel out. Also, something that will not cost you anything is just to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you hit that bell icon so YouTube lets you know every time we have new videos, because there's one coming up just for those who play bass. And I'll do the same thing. I will create the presets in different ways so you can take advantage of Helix Native, because if you already have a Helix product, you get a massive discount on Helix Native, and you can use it as your VST to record, and whatever you record, you just pass it through or whatever you can pass to your modeler, and that will open up the floodgates of heaven, I would call it that way, to how much tone you can share with everyone and your church or your friends' churches, just like I'm doing right now, just to help you out to increase the tone of your acoustic guitar. All right, friends, stay tuned for other video, and I will see you soon. God bless you. Ciao.